Yeah, what's up, my brother? How's it going? It's going? All right, welcome back. Oh, they got this clown out here. He usually be in the store across the street. They got him stalking me now, huh? Let me tell you, man. Hilarious. You know, it's one of the dudes that they got to try to threaten me. You know, I keep telling y'all, you know, when y'all send them, make sure you train them well. Make sure you train them well. All right, I got over 2 decades of experience being a targeted individual. All right, a decade and a half of learning, becoming an expert at identifying these predators within the NYPD, the criminals and corrupt people within the U.S. government, security agencies, law enforcement agencies, and within the society, of engaging in covert warfare, covert psychological warfare, cognitive warfare. I am an expert in identifying cognitive warfare. I'll tell you that. And I don't need to go to no damn college to get a degree to become an expert in identifying cognitive warfare. I got over 2 decades of experience. And the one thing that I said that I was going to do, I'm doing, which is to expose them in every single way, in everything that they do. All right? Even some of the things that they will consider to be too embarrassed to talk about, I'll talk about it. Because again, understanding how they use shame and guilt to try to manipulate you into silence while violating your rights in your most private ways and private settings, right? They understand human being and how we are conditioned within the society, okay? And that is something that I'm always going to expose. And when I talk about the truth is my armor and is my weapon against their lies, the truth is my sword and shield that will pierce their lies. The dude over there grabbing his crotch. Grab my crotch. Look at the hand movement. Look at the hand on his chest. Look, LTJ 3205. And I love to look down at the dirt because they like to do the same shit too. All right? Again, engaging in psychological manipulation, psychological harm based on their false narrative and their lies. Like I said, you got to be able to break down your targeting and break down what it is that they've done to you, how they do it, what they've done, and you got to look further back from when you become aware of your targeting, because the signs were there, you just couldn't see it, you couldn't identify it, and it's not your fault. All right, in cognitive warfare, you do not see the attack. This is in the curse of persuasion programming, how they program you. You cannot see the psychological programming, okay? Very few can, I should say that. Very few can. Sometimes it may take a couple of years for you to become aware of it, right? So either they will do things so extremely and so severely that you automatically become aware of certain things. Other times you will never know. You will never know. This is how they infiltrate people within the society. And again, I've talked about this before, where I've been saying this, how they were setting up black women, particularly black female district attorneys, black female politicians. They do it to the men as well. But because of of Trump, when he ran for his first re-election, not re-election, for his first election, and you see who they used to bring charges against Trump. There was never any white male or white female district attorney or attorney general that brought charges against Trump. It was black women and black men, right? So when I say this, Just go look. Just go look and see what I'm talking about. Right? And I've been identifying their tactics for a long time now. But you know, when they shadow ban you, apparently people started going to my Facebook page, and so what did they do? Right? What did they do? They delete my channel. Right? Start using my backup account. And what did they do? Hack into my account. All right? Join in groups that are, you know, pornography groups, you know, homosexual groups. Right? This is what they do in order to do what? To discredit me. See, their tactics are all the same. You know, they use, you know, I mean, think about this, right? Particularly in liberal states where they are pushing the transgender agenda. And when I say that, I want to be clear. Listen, you have a right to live your life how you want to live your life. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as, you know, hopefully you're not harming yourself, but also recognizing that a lot of times you are being programmed with certain behavior. Right? So the fact is, look, if you want to identify whatever you want to identify with, that's fine. But make sure, you have to make sure that, you know, you're not being influenced by other people, or you're not being influenced by a program. Look, you've never seen a vehicle before. D32 SKZ. So you see on every corner, well, not every, yeah, every corner, maybe not every corner, the number 32 is there. All right? Let's see. Let's see. Should I? You know what? If I trying to see if there's a bus is coming. Okay. I'll go in there when I come back. But yeah. Right, so you gotta make sure of that. What I don't like, right, and again, that's me personally, is the fact that they're pushing a narrative that me as a straight man, if I refuse to date someone who is transgender, that somehow I'm transgender phobic, right? Or even, what they're gonna say, if you refuse to date the same-sex person, then you what? You're homophobic, right? Just for refusing to date a person who is a homosexual, or if you're a woman and you're not a lesbian and you refuse to date lesbian women, that somehow you're anti-lesbian. You know, this is the shit I'm talking about. Forcing these things down people's throat, right? And then labeling them anti or hateful because they don't want to follow your agenda, or they don't believe in your agenda. Because again, based off the junk science, and then they create the science behind it, right? So you have transgender men who now identify as transgender women. I should say a trans woman, I should say. And you're saying that it's okay for them to play sports that is, you know, female, biologically born women or female sports league, that they now somehow can join those sport league and compete against women, I should say, right? So let's say if you got a 6'7", 6'8" transgender female, transgender woman, not female, transgender woman, playing in a basketball game. Let's say you have two of them on the same team. That is a severely unfair advantage, right? And then they create the science. Well, you know, if they take hormone, that means that, you know, their strength is that of a natural born woman. That's a goddamn lie. I'm saying that. You know, that's a lie. That's a lie. But you got to look at who is pushing that agenda. You got to look at the psychologists, right? Who are pushing these kind of agendas. What is their motive? Right? What is their motive? And it comes down to money and also creating new path for profit in off of people who are conditioned or who are brainwashed into believing something that they're not. And again, that's not goes for everybody, right? Again, you know, we are. Listen, I recognize and I know that within almost every species, you know, you have within those species you have homosexuality. Okay, but it's a very, very small percentage. Very, very small percentage. And I'll tell you this: when you look at the study done by the Swedes, right, and how they begin to question why are young people, right, identifying as LGBTQ in such an exponential way, whereas before, whereas before, when you approach the department, look, he comes out there. Look at the stalker. Look at the stalker. All right, the mailman, you know. Well, am I expecting a letter in the mail? That's okay. You know, I'll expose it. The approach to the department, 73722. Because they're a bunch of stalkers. Yeah, you're looking at me, you stalker. I'm calling you a stalker. You're a stalker. Right? As soon as you hear the siren, he comes from, you know, from in the streets, come onto the sidewalk. Stand in the streets. Right? So yeah. Yeah, fuck you, New York Predators Department. Yeah, fuck you, New York Predators Department. I'll say it again. Use your sirens again. Use it again. Prove me right. Right? I'll picture her nose. Whew. Grabbing your butt, girl. You hear the sirens? I'm mimicking everything that she's doing, except for with the phone. Right? Look, I'm kicking my feet. I hear the sirens. I'll tell you. You want me to put on my battle face and switch into battle mode? There you go. But anyway, as I was saying, when the Swedes looked and saw that prior to the early 2000s, to go back, you know, another 2 or 3 decades, every year, every decade, there have been a slight increase in people identifying as bisexual and gay, and lesbian, you know, well, gay, you know, man and woman, right? It was a very small percentage. But with the advent of social media, the internet, particularly with Instagram in particular, okay, what they found is that there have been adult LGBTQ people going online, right, creating profiles, right, and manipulating young people, making them believe that they're in the wrong body. So let's say they're going through Instagram, they see a young teenage girl. She's not curvy, you know. Listen, women mature differently. Okay, some women have hips and bosoms and, you know, ass, and other women, they have that, but not to the extent. You know, they might be straight. They got some women that's shaped like I don't know what. You got some men that shape like I don't know what. You know, they just have a certain shape. Because everybody is different. Right? And so, it's like everybody is over 6 feet. There's only a small group of men compared to the overall population of men that are over 6 feet. Right? So, but what they found is that since the advent of Instagram, every year there have been an exponential increase in young Swedish teens and young Swedish men and women identifying as LGBTQ. And so they identify that as and called it social contagion, just as how Facebook, in their illegal experimentation on their users, right, engage in what? Emotional contagion. Okay, so psychological manipulation can be used and is being used to manipulate people's mind. Okay, and that's just using social media. That's only one aspect, one weaponized version of tools that they use to manipulate our minds. See, them, they don't want it with me, but they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. Because like I said, I'm about the truth. And when you have a nation of people believing lies, modeling off of another nation of people who believe in lies, because those who are in positions of authority and power engaging in the lies that they're engaging in, then, you know, they will be exposed. So they can do whatever they want. Remember, it is to try to silence us, you and I as TIs, and what it is that they're doing, how they're doing it. And they're going to pay. And I will be one of the instruments used to make sure that they pay for what they've done. And they are held responsible. Okay, like I said, there's a history for what they do. My brother before him, my twin brother, my brother before him. So this is a unique situation. Unlike other TIs who may not have siblings that were targeted because they were the first. You know, I have a twin brother who was targeted. I have another older brother who was targeted. So like I said, it is something, eventually they would have made a mistake. And when they did, and here I say when they did, not when they do, when they did, because they already made their mistake. And when they do, when they did, they made it with me. And what do I always say? I am going to expose them. I'm going to learn what it is that they do. And I'm going to expose them. Here, near to the pop music and sirens. Yes. Why are they so afraid? Like I said, because they have more to lose than I do. Way, way more to lose. And when I tell you I got them, I got them. Their ignorance, their narcissistic, sociopathic, and psychopathic mind, their dog tribe personality traits,
Let's get married.
and their overconfidence in the fact that they are in the position of authority that they are in, they feel like they can do whatever they want to do. Well, no, they can't. And they will be held accountable. All right, talk to you guys in the next video.